Hey everyone. Thanks for the introduction, Kim. Apart from what Kim already mentioned, so I'm also maintaining OpenSBI. If you don't know, as part of the OpenSBI project efforts, we recently added this domain support, and we think that it's quite useful to the TE world and the security enthusiast. So this talk is all about the domain support in OpenSBI project, and the talk is structured into three parts. One is the overview, deep dive, and the last part is future work and demo. We'll try to see if we can reach on time for the demo. The overview part, we'll just talk about how we came out thinking about the domain support, our motivation, and the high level ideas. And the deep dive part, we'll talk about the more details about the OpenSBI side of the domain implementation. So let's begin. So we start with the overview. So like some of the speakers already mentioned a lot about secure booting, TE, and I just reiterate briefly about it. So most of the modern systems have a lot of security related features. Okay, the two important ones are the secure booting and the trusted execution environment. So secure booting typically has two types. One is on-chip root trust-based, root of trust-based, and other is an off-chip root of trust-based. So typically on-chip root of trust based is very much SOC specific thing, and the off-chip root of trust there are few solutions, and at least one I know of is OpenTitan. And in TE world there is a lot of solutions out there, particularly in ARM world, and now we are seeing more solutions in RISC-V world as well. So TE solutions, the trusted execution environment solutions, typically has three parts. One is the secure monitor. Which is the trusted computing base. It runs with the highest privilege on any architecture. And there is a secure OS which runs the secure apps, and then there is a non-secure world or the client or rich operating system environment which uses all the secure services from the secure OS through, and the secure monitor acts as a mediator. So in RISC-V world, at the moment, at least as far as I know, we have three different solutions. One is the Keystone Enclave project. It's an open source thing. And then we have HEX5 Multizone is a proprietary solution. And now we have OpenSBI domains. It's again open source, and it's not completely complete TE solution, but it tries to solve one important piece of the TE. And there are various use cases of TE as listed over here: point of sale terminals, peer-to-peer payment, biometric audio, and more. So, moving on. So the goal of the OpenSBI support for domains was to provide an open source implementation of a secure monitor. And OpenSBI firmware being quite widely adopted in RISC-V world, it makes perfect sense to convert OpenSBI firmwares into a secure monitor so that people don't have to write the secure monitor from scratch for their own TE solutions. And to define a domain, an OpenSBI domain is a partition or a subset of underlying hardware, having its own set of memory regions, RAM, memory devices, and its own set of hearts. Users can partition a system into not just two, even more domains, but for simplicity, in most of the slides, we'll just show two domains most of the places, so that it's easier to understand. And primarily, the domains support in OpenSBI will provide inter-domain isolation using all the hardware features which are there on the platform. Typically, this will include PMP, IOPMP, ePMP, Sci-Fi Shield, and others which come up in future. And it will also require some kind of message passing. At the moment, our thought process is to have an opaque inter-domain messaging using OpenSBI specific SBI calls. We might also think of standardizing if there is more use cases. But this part of the domain support is not yet done. It's still to be added, the messaging part. And if the messaging is opaque, then users can certainly implement their own custom secure messaging on top of it. The recent OpenSBI release, that is 0.9, includes the domain support without the inter-domain messaging part. So it's still pretty much a work in progress thing for OpenSBI project as well. So all these figures show the different possible privilege levels for the various secure and non-secure domains that we have considered in that domain development or the implementation. See, most of the cases, the OpenSBI firmware or the secure monitor is going to run in the M mode. And the reach of operating system is assumed to be something like Linux or a mature OS. So it will typically expect both S and U mode. Whereas the secure side of the software, there is a lot of variety, right? So it can be a very simple bare metal secure application, or it can be an RTOS running entirely in S mode, or it can be a more mature OS like VxWorks or some bigger operating system running in both S and U mode. So in secure domain, we have different requirements on the required privilege levels based on the type of the software, secure software. Yeah, so this is one example for the more elaborate or detailed example of OpenSBI domain, along with an on-chip root of trust actually. So in case of on-chip root of trust, the first booting stage or the root of the trust boots from an on-chip boot ROM, the first booting stage, and it has its own hardware keys within the SoC itself, and those are fused within the SoC. So it's typically a custom SoC specific solution generally, and it will have a chain loading, and eventually it will load OpenSBI firmware, and from there it can also chain load the images for the different domains. The key part over in this figure is that all the critical devices are partitioned and mostly given to secure domain. Again, for simplicity, we have shown two domains, but it can have multiple secure domains or multiple non-secure domains. Similarly, the OpenSBI domains integrates quite well with an off-chip root of trust as well, such as OpenTitan, where the root of trust is outside the SoC, running as a separate chip or microcontroller, and it will have its own hardware keys and secure storage within the off-chip controller. Same in this case as well. The only difference with the previous example is that the root of trust authentication is different in this case compared to the on-chip root of trust. Rest of the things are quite similar. All the important devices are given to the secure domain only, and even the access to the channel to talk to the off-chip OpenTitan microcontroller is also given to the secure domain. And yeah, in both examples, the hardware keys are totally managed by the root of trust. Yeah. So far, these were all the high-level ideas we started off when we started implementing domains in OpenSBI. And coming to the next part of the presentation, we'll talk more about the finer details of the domain implementation in OpenSBI. So first thing we start with is how the domains are actually created in OpenSBI. So at the moment, all the domain creation is done at boot time, which means either the platform support code or the previous booting stage will inform how to create the domains. We can certainly go for a runtime creation of domains, but we still have not found any use case. And plus there is also Keystone Enclave project, which heavily focuses on runtime creation of enclaves. And we are collaborating with them, and Keystone Enclave actually uses OpenSBI as a secure monitor internally. At the moment, they are not using the OpenSBI domain support. We are thinking collaborating with them how to integrate the domain support along with the enclaves as well. So at minimum, at boot time, the OpenSBI platform support can populate the domains using platform callbacks, and they can also provide a hard ID to domain mapping using the platform callbacks. And the assumption is the images for the various domains will be preloaded by the previous booting stage. But again, it's very cumbersome if we have to create platform support every time we want to create domains or populate domains. So for that reason, we enriched or enhanced our generic platform support to populate the domains from DTB. So previous booting stage would be the loader before the OpenSBI firmware. So there is generally a chain of firmwares. Generally a ROM firmware authenticates and loads a loader firmware, which will do the DDR initialization and then load the OpenSBI firmware and further images. Okay, so we'll talk about them more in coming slides as well. So generic platform support is totally DT based. So over there we cannot hard code any domains configuration. So Genik platform totally relies on configuring domains from the DT, and in fact it also gets the hard ID to domain mapping from the DTP. And the same assumption for the images also holds here. The images will be loaded by the previous booting stage, which loads the OpenSBI and the domain images. Yeah, so now we'll talk about different data structures and entities which are there involved in the domain implementation in OpenSBI. First and foremost, the most important one is the SBI domain mem region struct, which represents a memory region instance in a PMP compatible way, and a domain instance will have a set of memory regions. So each memory region instance will have an order, base, and flags. Order is nothing but the size of the region in terms of power of 2, which means 2 raised to order is the size of the region. And base is nothing but the base address start address of the region, which is a 2 raised to order aligned address. And flags are nothing but the access flags required to program the PMP and other hardware. Typically, it's like the permissions to be given to the lower privilege modes, the read, write, execute permissions, and other things. And you can also describe the type of region, whether it's a MMI or RAM or other regions. And then another most important entity in the domain implementation is the struct SBI domain, which represents a domain instance. There is a lot of stuff in this struct, but the most important ones are listed here. First is the index, which is a unique number assigned to the domain. It's a sequentially assigned number for convenience. And then there is a name for the domain, and then there is a boot heart ID, so which is nothing but the heart which will start first in this domain. And then we have 2 sets of hearts. One is an assigned heart and possible hearts. These are 2 sets, and the rationale is behind the 2 sets is a heart can be possible in multiple domains at any point in time, but it can be only assigned to a particular domain at one instance of time. And then the idea of 2 different masks and the sets is that later on we can have multiple heart switching its own domain at runtime also possible. And other details are like in the struct SBI domain is the next booting stage details. So when a boot heart wants to jump to the next booting stage, what should be the address, the E1 register, next mode. And then the most obvious one, there is a set of memory regions, a list of memory regions. But the constraint over here is that to make it PMP suitable or IOPMP suitable, these regions will actually have more constraints, such as, for example, the most important constraint is we need to protect the firmware itself. So there has to be a mandatory region to protect the firmware itself. There is OpenSBI firmware. And then we have other constraints between the overlapping memory regions that they cannot partially overlap. So one has to be a subregion of another. They cannot be the subregions cannot be of same size because that's duplicate regions. Then they cannot have same access flags, and memory access check should prefer smaller regions over smaller region access flags, which means these are all constraints required to properly configure the PMP regions in hardware. And apart from all this information, we have miscellaneous attributes like system reset allowed flag. So this flag actually tells that whether this given domain is allowed to do system reset or reboot the entire system or not. Yeah, and this information is going to keep on adding actually. So this is just like the important details that are there in the struct SBI domain at the moment. And now the most important part is having implemented the domains in OpenSBI. What if the previous booting stage does not describe or does not populate any domains for OpenSBI? So in that case, by default, there is going to be something called as the root domain, which is always there. And it is pre-configured at boot time. It has an index always 0. The name is always root, the name suggests. Boot heart ID is same as the cold boot heart ID, the heart ID doing the initialization from scratch actually. And the next stage details are picked up from the booting stage detail passed by the previous booting stage to the cold boot heart. And all available hearts are part of assigned hearts and possible hearts. And there are only 2 memory regions. Actually, there is a typo. It has to be at least 2 memory regions. One is, of course, a region to protect the OpenSBI firmware from the lower privilege modes. And then the second region is to allow the complete memory access to the lower privilege modes. And there are more regions as well. And there could be some M mode only devices like Clint and other some secure devices which only are meant for M mode. And we need more additional regions for those devices, M mode only MMIO devices. So that's why there is a typo. It should be at least 2, not only 2. And lastly, the system reset allowed flag is by default true for the root region. So finally, as a result of the domain implementation, there are certain effects which are quite visible on the lower privilege modes. So I have tried to list them over here actually. So at any point in time, like I mentioned previously, at any point in time, a heart is assigned to exactly one domain only. And all the SBI calls like IPI and rFancies from a heart, which is assigned to domain X, are restricted within that domain X only, which means only the heart's part of the domain X will only receive the IPIs and rFancies. No other heart will receive. So this is more like a SBI level isolations will be ensured by the OpenSBI. And then a heart running in SNU mode can only access the memory defined by the memory regions of the domain assigned to that heart. Obviously, that's why we have the memory regions definitions. And a heart can only power off or reboot the system if the domain assigned to the heart has the permission to do it. And there could be shared memory between the domains, not within the domains, but across the domains, which is nothing but an overlapping region between the two domains. So, over here we are trying to show an example of populating domains using device tree. Like I mentioned, we have to use generic platform to use this feature because generic platform is like our fully DT based platform. All the domain configuration is under the chosen node. Under chosen node, we'll have a root node for the all domain configuration. Over here, we have named it OpenSBI domains. And like we can see, this is a very simple example, which is creating only 2 domains. The right side boxes, the 3 boxes on the right side, the top box is defining 3 regions, the trusted memory, which is just 1 MB. And then there is a trusted UART. There are 2 UARTs on this system, assuming there is a trusted UART. And then there is all memory, access to all memory. And the bottom 2 boxes below the in the right corner are the trusted domain and the untrusted domain. Trusted domain just has 2 regions, the trusted memory and trusted UART. And the untrusted domain has 3 regions, but the 2 regions are for blocking the access to the trusted memory and trusted UART. And the last region is for allowing access to all the memory to the untrusted, rest of the memory to untrusted domain. And towards the end, we have a demo which will showcase this example running on QEMU actually. The most important question, why? What have we achieved for the ecosystem by doing OpenSBI domains? Okay, so first and foremost, like since OpenSBI firmwares are widely used, if we have something like domain support which converts OpenSBI firmware into secure monitor, it would be great. It saves a lot of effort for the people who develop these solutions. And like I mentioned in previous slides, naturally it fits in the booting flow, which is there right now for across these 5 systems. There is a ROM stage, which is generally the first booting stage on chip ROM, and it authenticates and loads a loader. Loader does the DDR installation and loads more images, including OpenSBI bootloader images. And then jumps to OpenSBI, and then OpenSBI will install the M mode services and then jump to the bootloader in lower privilege mode. And so on and so forth. Like from there, the normal booting will continue to Linux or any other rich operating system. So, and that's why we say if OpenSBI is converted into a secure monitor, it fits naturally. In fact, that's why in OpenSBI domains, we expect the loader stage to load all the images for the domains as well if there are more domains. And OpenSBI generic platform provides a great way of configuring domains through DTB, the device tree actually. So, and even it allows the previous booting stage to authenticate and load images for the domains, all the domains that are being populated. And it complements existing secure boot solutions. So we saw 2 examples with on-chip root of trust and off-chip root of trust. So it perfectly complements them. The domain implementation does not is quite transparent. It does not expect to know the hardware keys and how root of trust is. Root of trust is pretty much black box, I would say. And secure OS can be open source or proprietary, and the whole point that behind domains is that it's just a secure monitor solution. Okay, and people can build their own custom solutions using the OpenSPI domains. So coming to the last part of the talk, the future work and demo. So the pending items are like we are yet to integrate the domain support with ePMP and IOPMP. I think IOPMP might take more time because the spec, I don't know when that is frozen or ratified. But ePMP is quite close. Probably we'll attempt that first, and any other feature which comes our way, definitely. And in fact, the features can be even platform specific, like Sci-Fi Shield or some other features. And we certainly need some kind of inter-domain message passing. At the moment, we think that it could be just a opaque inter-domain message passing on top of which people can build their own custom messaging. But it can well be as a standard SBI extension to have TE calls going from one domain to other domain, as mentioned in the OpTE talk previously. And if we come up with an opaque inter-domain message passing, then we'll certainly need some kind of a RP message driver in the Linux to use that messaging or some kind of driver for it. And finally, we want to see a complete TE solution running with OpenSBI on a real hardware, which will be a major milestone for the OpenSBI domain support. So moving on to the final thing, which is demo. I'll just change the share screen actually. Yeah. So I'll quickly show the example which I had shown in the slides. Let me just show you first. So this is the device tree that I had shown in the slides. The same the device tree, we have the complete domain configuration over here. That's it. And with this, I've pre-created a DTP out of this thing, and I will run this thing on the Sci-Fi U machine emulated by QEMU. That machine actually has 5 cores. 1 is an E core and 4 are regular Linux capable cores with S and U mode. The E core only has M and U mode. So what we'll do is we have created a trusted domain and an untrusted domain. The trusted domain will run only on the E core. It will have its own trusted memory and trusted UART. It's a simple while loop which prints hello world. It's a small bare metal application. And then we have an untrusted domain which boots a full-blown Linux, and we'll see Linux cannot actually tamper with the hello world application. And so compiling OpenSBI for domain support is straightforward. It's always there. You don't need to enable anything special. So we just compile the generic platform. And once it's done, actually, we have 2 shells, one to show the untrusted domain and another to show the trusted domain, the hello world. So, and by the way, this is the trusted application. A small loop written just prints hello world in assembly. That's it. So to launch the domain, I'll explain the command. So since we are the OpenSBI domain fits cleanly in the booting flow, it's very natural to even easily extend the QEMU loading sequence and load domain images over here. So the command line I would highlight is that, see, we are creating a Sci-Fi U machine with 250 MB of memory, and one of the serial port which we are giving to the untrusted domain is on the same console, and the other is on a telnet. So the secure console will show up on the telnet actually. And the BIOS is the OpenSBI firmware. The BIOS is the OpenSBI firmware. And then we have a pre-built kernel image. And these are the kernel parameters. And this line actually preloads the image for the secure domain that we have created. And we are giving a custom DTP because the DTP which is generated by QEMU does not create domains by default. So we are giving custom DTB, which I showed. So we'll launch this. So it boots. We don't see the secure domain over here. We just have to connect to telnet. So it's already running. So it's booted. So if we see here, we have 4 cores in this. It's a SciFi unleashed machine emulated by QEMU. So, and over here you can see the root domain was there, but it's not assigned to any of the CPUs. And then we have a trusted domain which only has one CPU, that is 0 E core. And star means it is assigned. The core 0 is also assigned to this domain. And then we have a domain 2, which is the untrusted domain booting the Linux. It has 4 cores, and for hard ID 4 is the boot ID. Okay, and you can see the regions. Okay, all the regions. So this is trusted UART. So we can clearly see the trusted UART is blocked over here. And similarly, this is running from this location, the trusted memory. The trusted memory is blocked over here. So I'll just quickly show. We cannot actually access the trusted memory. So it's just seg faults actually. So in fact, we cannot even access the firmware itself. Even that is protected. And this thing just keeps running endlessly. So like I said, this is still work in progress. The major part missing right now is the messaging, interdomain messaging part, and this is where we need help from the community and people to come up with ideas. And the Opti talk was nice, and having an SBI extension for interdomain team calls can be really nice. That's one other valid proposal for SBI extension. So that's it from my side. Any question, please let me know.
Yeah, Anup, we have some questions.
Okay, let me check. Yeah. Okay, one question from Jaws. So the message passing model we have not finalized at the moment. Our initial
and we have an echo, but can you read the question for me?
Is it better now? You still have echo?
No, only when I unmute.
Okay. Okay. So the first question from Jaws, so message passing model we have not finalized. At the moment, our thought is just to have an opaque message passing where OpenSBI firmware has minimal role, but we can certainly go for a more Opti friendly calls as well. So that we have not finalized yet. And it is quite possible to even have a SBI extension, a well-defined SBI extension to have a Opti like calls. So another question is, so domains are comparable to trust zone, secure world. So okay, so for the simplicity of the slides, we have just created secure world and secure domain and non-secure domain. The terms are similar to the ARM world trust zone things, but over here we can actually create more multiple secure domains. You can have multiple secure OSs running on different cores, and even multiple non-secure OSs in running in non-secure domain. And what is the interrupt model for domains? Must all external interrupts be assigned to a single domain? So actually, the current PLEAK is not so friendly actually. But if you see the APLEAK, the advanced PLEAK being proposed by the AI spec, is much more flexible, and we can have multiple APLEAK domains. And if the target use case is set, we can have a separate APLEAK for separate domains as well. But yeah, some hardware feature is required for having dedicated interrupt domains for interrupt controllers for the domains. Last question, hearts are allocated domains, so they are dedicated to domains. I didn't fully get this question, but I think what I mean in domains is that domain has a set of hearts. It's not all available hearts. We are partitioning the hearts right now. And in fact, we can also run 2 domains on the same heart, but the thing is heart has to voluntarily switch the domain through some SBI call.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.